Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to Dead Malls, your one home for the coziest, most liminal mall explorations. And welcome back everyone to the last episode of our little second Pittsburgh expedition here, where after exploring Blue Purgatory, my friends and I were thrown into one last liminal experience. One that was unmatched from any of my other mall visits. Today we'll be exploring and telling the story of the Mountaineer Mall in Morgantown, West Virginia, a mall that was on my bucket list ever since I first saw that first liminal space backrooms photo pop up a few years ago. But before I spoil any more of this mall's retro, wonderful sights, I'd like to take a moment and shout out our winner who was able to successfully guess the next mall. Great job, Molly Heffernan. If you would like to have your chance at being shouted out in the next episode, be sure to stick around for the next challenge. And not only that, but to those that stick around to the very end, I'll share with you all a little footage and a little story which explains why I kept referring to this trip as the second Pittsburgh expedition. Anyways, let's dive in here, tell the story of, and explore the backrooms level that is Mountaineer Mall in Morgantown, West Virginia.
It's right here. Oh my god, yes. This is so exciting.
Mountaineer Mall is probably one of the most iconic dead malls of all time. This amazing little mall still sitting proudly atop its hill may be dead, but it's more of an undead mall nowadays, as most of the old anchors and a lot of old tenants have been walled off and either left behind or turned into offices. So everything is still in use, sort of, but the mall portion itself is the one part that has sadly been left behind for decades. With this first portion we're in here feeling like an actual entrance into the backrooms, forever stuck in 1987. This was all, at one point, a thriving mall, and instead of drywalls at every turn, there were stores and shops galore. So how did this creepy terrazzo fever dream end up the way it is today? Let's turn the clock back and tell the story of the Mountaineer Mall. But first, enjoy some of the mall for yourself.
Zero fighting systems. Oh, that's really cool. Man, they got a whole cage. So a Foot Locker. Oh, that was Elder Beerman. You can see the letters, barely.
Mountaineer Mall's story begins in the early 1970s, where in Morgantown, West Virginia, a modestly sized town of about 30,000 residents, a new mall for the rural mall boom was to be built. On May 7, 1974, contractors from the Laurel Development Company of Pennsylvania would officially announce the construction of a new $10 million shopping center, which would feature 3 anchor stores, a variety of local-based and national name brands, a full-line movie theater, and even a grocery store in the parking lot. Mountaineer Mall, as it would come to be called, would be built atop a hill on the south side of town, right along the city's primary southerly road of Highway 119. Through the summer of 1974 into 75, the hill adjacent to Dorsey Knob would be completely razed, with the superstructure of the new mall quickly taking shape on the site. Meanwhile, the residents of Morgantown eagerly awaited their very first shopping center and its glimmering opening, which was just on the horizon.
This directory is amazing. Oh, there's the mall. Right up there.
Wasn't that old mural of the town so Pawnee style of them? It was even complete with an illustration of Mountaineer before this giant 80s expansion. Which, fun fact, this brick entryway would have been where the mall's original main entrance was, making this space just before the Lum's restaurant on the right side the old 2-screen theater. Whatever happened to those screens back there, I don't know, but everything on this side of the mall is straight from 1975, including that amazing, untouched Lum's restaurant exterior. On Thursday, October 16th, 1974, a $500 ribbon made of $10 bills was cut, then donated to the United Way organization, welcoming shoppers into Morgantown's newest department store and the mall's first anchor store, Montgomery Ward, which would be the first, with the second anchor, Murphy's Mart, opening later. The mall's opening date itself isn't exactly known, but it would fully open later on in October of 1975. Mountaineer Mall first opened as the straight-line course between its anchors Montgomery Ward and Murphy's Mart, with over 75 slots for stores, some of those being GNC, Action Hardware, Merle Norman, Circus World, Wiener World, Footworks, Lum's, Antiques Fine Shoes. There was even a small 2-screen theater right at the mall's main entrance called Cinemet Theaters. Oh yes, and how could I forget, there was also the Giant Eagle grocery store in the parking lot. Despite all of these great attractions, Mountaineer's early years would be rather quiet and uneventful. Due to its poor location, the mall was rather hidden from the rest of the world, isolated upon its hill. JCPenney would officially open as the mall's third anchor in the central spot in 1976, and for several years the mall slowly filled up with more stores, though it never reached the highs and expectations Laurel had set. And so, in February of 1978, Laurel would sell Mountaineer Mall to the First Union Bank for just $4 million. Under new ownership, the mall would thrive, filled up at near maximum occupancy. And with this, plans to expand the mall hit the ground running. Before we get to the 80s with the expansion and all that, I just wanted to take a moment and enjoy the 70s portion of Mountaineer Mall and these retro side mall entrances, which I can't imagine always having that drywall look. Has it? Or what's behind those walls? Either way, it makes this entrance down here look like some sort of sterile, uninviting hospital hallway. But hey, at least we have another non-functional payphone to make up for it. Also, does anybody know what that octagonal shape on the floor was? Was that perhaps an old fountain? Or an old planter? Maybe an old children's ride? Let me know down below, I'm very curious. In 1985, the mall's first anchor name change occurred when Murphy's Mart would become Ames, and around a year later in September of 1986, an $8.3 million expansion would be revealed, which would add a new fourth anchor store along with over 90,000 square feet of additional mall space and exterior retail space. Completed in 1987, this new addition added several new stores to the mall, such as Foot Locker, Claire's, Sam Goody, Regis, and others, along with the mall's new fourth anchor store, Stone & Thomas, which would open in the new addition. Giant Eagle would also close their original store out in front of the mall and move down the hill to the side of Greenbag Road. With all of these new additions, new stores, and a fresh new look, in at least part of it, Mountaineer Mall seemed it would finally get its chance to properly thrive into the 1990s. However, all of these additions were in vain, as in 1990, the new Morgantown Mall would open less than 3 miles away, which was much more modern and much better positioned, being right off I-79. Stores at Mountaineer would immediately begin leaving for the new mall, including many from the new expansion. JCPenney was one of the first, shuttering their doors for a store at the new mall in 1990. We're now down on the end of Mountaineer with the most life, or I guess where the remaining traditional mall tenants are still operating stores and dance studios, so I can imagine when dance isn't in session, this whole area must get pretty eerie and quiet. Either way, this old Montgomery Ward wing of the mall used to feature some pretty iconic storefronts, such as Radio Shack there, Pearl Vision, Brooks, and Sam Goody. Now there's not a whole lot down here aside from some remaining label scars, old bricks, and memories. Also, mind my friends and I for frolicking through the mall's hallways. We were just so excited to see this amazing little place. JCPenney closing was an omen of what was to come for the rest of Mountaineer in the coming years. The old cinema theaters would show its last pictures, closing at some point in the early 90s, and in 1993 the old JCPenney space would briefly become a US Factory Outlets, before closing in 96 and becoming Gabriel Brothers. In 1994, the Ames Company would go bankrupt, closing all of their locations, including the one in Mountaineer. The space would be demolished and turned into a new Walmart, and with that, discount quickly became the new norm at Mountaineer Mall in the mid-90s, as it backfilled many of its empty spaces with more and more discount and non-traditional tenants. Unfortunately, Stone & Thomas wouldn't last too long themselves, being absorbed by Elder Beerman in 1998. Interestingly, Elder Beerman did have another store at the new mall just down the road, but the company opted to keep both stores open, despite Mountaineer's lacking performance. Before Y2K, the year 99 was a wild one for the mall, as Montgomery Ward, the mall's last original anchor name, would close their store in bankruptcy. Later in July of that year, the mall would be purchased by the Jaeger Management Company for $11 million, who immediately began working to curate the empty space all over the mall into what we see today: offices, starting by converting the old Montgomery Ward into a Teletech in 2000. I will never not be hypnotized by this entire 1987 expansion wing of the Mountaineer Mall. Those buzzing fluorescent lights and the remaining mercury bulbs dotting the mishmash of drop ceilings above almost kind of look like stars in some sort of backroom's night sky, glimmering remnants of another era. And when you're actually walking through here yourself in the complete silence and the green washes over you, it can almost feel like you're being abducted into some sort of otherworldly liminal dimension. In 2006, Walmart would close its stores, moving to a new store just down the road off the interstate. By the mid-2000s, walking through Mountaineer Mall was a very trippy experience, as there was almost nothing left in terms of stores, as almost all of them had moved shop to Morgantown Mall or left altogether. 2008 was the last year for Mountaineer's traditional anchor retail, as both Gabriel Brothers and Elder Beerman closed their stores at the mall, with the old Gabriel's and Walmart buildings being turned into offices shortly after. The interior of the mall throughout the 2010s would see the last remaining traditional stores, such as Sam Goody, Rex Appliances, Regis, and Subway, all close, and rather filled up with a mix of non-traditional tenants, such as a boxing gym, dance studios, offices, senior center, and antique shop. Though several name brands that were connected to the mall, or outparcels like Goodwill and Dunham Sports, have closed, Mountaineer Mall, even today, remains a community hub, and forever kept alive by its many current uses, whether that be commuting its halls for exercise, or taking your kid to ballet. Mountaineer Mall in 2024 remains a shining example of how to repurpose an old shopping center. And I hope that it and its example can inspire other dead malls to do the same, and hopefully save them like this great mall was itself. Folks, I want to thank you all so much for joining me on tonight's adventure. Mountaineer Mall was, like I said at the beginning, one I've had on my bucket list of seeing for years now, and it was such a worthy visit. If any of you are ever in the Morgantown area, I highly recommend stopping by this little mall. Get sucked up into its years of culture and history, and enjoy yourself in those liminal hallways. If you guys enjoy my Dead Mall episodes, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification so you don't miss out on future videos. And if you'd like to support me further, consider checking out the Patreon for sneak peeks, exclusive content, and so much more. Now, before I end out tonight's video, I did say that I wanted to share some footage with you all, and a story as to why I kept calling this the second Pittsburgh expedition. And that's because of our adventure into the abandoned hellscape of Century 3 Mall. A mall I know a lot of you have been waiting a long time to see, so if you stick around past the credits, you'll get a little glimpse of that, which I can't fully share yet, but I can confirm it will be coming, as C3's demolition is well underway now. Anyways, next week we'll be live at a mall of your choosing, but 2 weeks from now we'll be back once again, this time beginning our next expedition of Season 6, where we'll be starting the second Texas expedition. The first mall of which will be located in the Sunflower State, in a city which already had an abandoned mall for many years, and is about to lose its only other. Guess which mall we'll be at, and I'll shout you out in the next episode. But until then, have yourselves a lovely evening, and peace out guys. See you later.